Moringa leaves have historically been used as a galactagogue. This is something that stimulates milk flow in lactating mothers. A review published in 2022 identified 7 randomized controlled trials. It's sort of the gold standard of clinical trials that examined the impact of moringa leaf supplementation on nutritional outcomes. Most studies have come to the conclusion that there was substantial benefit to moringa supplementation from the respective populations that were examined. Hello, I'm Dr. Jed Fahey. I've spent 3 decades at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine studying the effects of phytonutrients from plants like moringa on people's health. I'm also a scientific advisor to 2 companies that use moringa, Kuli and FoodNerd. I get a lot of questions about moringa, and I thought I'd try to answer some of them today. What is moringa, and how has it been traditionally used around the world? So moringa, or Moringa oleifera, is the most widely cultivated species of a family of plants native to the sub-Himalayan region in Asia. All parts of the moringa tree are edible. They've long been consumed by humans. Moringa leaves are especially promising as a food source in the tropics because the tree is in full leaf at the end of the dry season when other foods are typically scarce. Is moringa a superfood, or do you consider it a superfood? Yeah, sure. I do consider it a superfood because it has both food, nutritional, and medicinal uses. Those 2 uses are integrated in what these days is being called food as medicine. Leaves can be eaten fresh, cooked, or stored as dried powder for many months without refrigeration. And this is key because there are not many leaves that you can do that with, plant leaves. And there's no loss of nutritional value when you do that. People ask how much research has been conducted on moringa. Over the past 5 years, there have been about 5 times as many scientific papers with moringa in the title compared to sulforaphane, which is the compound from broccoli that I've spent most of my research effort on in the past 3 decades. So in fact, the nutritional properties of moringa are so well known now that there's, I think, little doubt of the substantial health benefit to be realized by consumption of moringa leaves and dried leaf powder. Now, a lot of that research wasn't conducted in populations in the US, but still, these are real people eating moringa. These aren't studies with rats and mice and lab animals. So in the short time we have together, let's focus on moringa leaf powder's ability, taken orally, to support breastfeeding and lactation, as well as infant and child health. Does moringa help with lactation and increasing breast milk supply or production? Moringa leaves have historically been used as a galactagogue. This is something that stimulates milk flow in lactating mothers. A review published in 2022 identified 7 randomized controlled trials. It's sort of the gold standard of clinical trials that examined the impact of moringa leaf supplementation on nutritional outcomes. These were done in Ghana, the Philippines, India, Tanzania, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Most studies have come to the conclusion that there was substantial benefit to moringa supplementation from the respective populations that were examined. Of the more recently published primary studies, for example, there was a 60-woman study from Indonesia that claimed beneficial effects from moringa on breast milk production and postpartum health status. A study performed in Thailand showed a 47% increase in milk production by nursing mothers supplemented with 0.5 gram of dried moringa leaves compared to placebo controls. Yet another recent study in Western Kenya showed a doubling of milk production compared to controls, from about 0.5 liter a day to about 1 liter a day. And this is with women that were fed 20 grams of fresh moringa leaves per day, which is equivalent to about 2 grams of dried leaf powder, or less than a teaspoon of dried leaf powder for 3 months. How can moms incorporate moringa into their diets to potentially increase milk supply? Kuli, which is, I think, the world's best source for moringa for adults, sells a variety of gummies, energy shots, smoothie additives, superfood blends, energy bars, and teas, as well as the leaf powder by itself. Moms can use any of these modes that I mentioned to consume moringa. You can let your imagination go wild and use moringa leaf powder in just about anything, certainly anything that you would put a green vegetable or green powder in. People ask, why is moringa particularly beneficial for toddlers and babies? A study in Kenya looked at both lactation and looked at the health of the infants that had been born to mothers supplemented with moringa. And they saw an increased hemoglobin and increased insulin-like growth factor 1 in blood samples from those infants. These are two critical indicators of health. An earlier double-blind randomized controlled trial in Indonesia with 340 breastfeeding mothers claimed that there was reduced growth stunting in the children of those mothers who'd been given moringa during pregnancy. And since most of the studies on moringa have dealt with women and children who were in less well-nourished areas than those in the USA, it's unclear how applicable they are to a well-nourished population. However, there's great interest in this area, and it hasn't abated, and clinical trials are ongoing, including one in this country that's currently recruiting volunteers. I'm asked frequently to focus on the specific nutrients in moringa that support early development. It's pretty straightforward. Moringa is loaded. Moringa dried Kuli leaf powder is loaded with vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, iron, fiber, and it's a highly digestible, high-quality source of protein. And I stress the powder from Kuli because there are a lot of moringa leaf powders coming on the market now that you can buy readily that are not of high quality, that haven't been dried properly, that lose a lot of their vitamins and phytochemicals. People ask, can moringa actually boost a child's immune system? I think the possibility that moringa's impressive and well-documented immune modulating and anti-inflammatory activity can reduce incidences of childhood infections, allergic responses, and other conditions common to infant and toddler development in the USA and elsewhere hasn't yet been well studied, and it requires serious scientific attention. But again, if you go back to the situations that have been proven and studied in adults, there's no reason to believe that information won't transfer to children also. What's my advice for getting a toddler to eat moringa? Do I have any tips? Certainly, the bright green, colorful, attractive moringa leaf powder can be incorporated into toddlers' foods. Many families mix it in with oatmeal, mac and cheese, and other early foods. Also, a company by the name of FoodNerd, for whom I consult, sources its moringa leaf powder from Kuli. And FoodNerd makes delicious puffs for infants and toddlers designed to have a range of organic, minimally processed fruits and vegetables with no added sugar, and they taste delicious too. What excites me most about moringa and how do I use it? I regularly use it in salad dressings, in cooked meals with veggies, casseroles, and soups. I do add it to oatmeal, although that's not my favorite. I also make energy balls from almond butter, moringa, coconut, sesame seeds, chopped figs, things like that. Ball them up, put them in the freezer, and I can grab them on the run. We've all heard the advice to eat more fruits and vegetables and more fiber. This is an extremely easy way to get green veggies loaded with essential amino acids, a highly digestible, high-quality source of protein with a bunch of vitamins and minerals and fiber into your diet. It allows one to further diversify one's consumption of fruits and vegetables. I mean, that's sort of the bottom line. And to enhance the care and feeding of our gut microbiomes, the stuff inside us, our gut bugs, which we're beginning to understand are absolutely one of the most important keys to our health and our health span, our long, healthy lives in the absence of chronic disease. So that's why I'm excited about moringa, and I'm pleased to have been able to share that excitement with you.